What's up, y'all? It's TruthTiger, and I'm going to talk about corporate America. And corporate America is so freaking soulless. Corporate America will steal your soul. And it's funny, just out yesterday, I was walking by the Whole Foods out there, and I saw some people hanging out in the parking lot, joking around, after work. And I used to do that a lot at a lot of old jobs I had that were not as like high up. I would hang out with some people after work. We'd talk about the day, we'd chill, have a little smoke, whatever. We'd do that. And I saw them doing that, and they really looked like they were having fun. There was like a childlike innocence to it. They were talking about hanging out at someone's house afterwards. It was the kind of stuff I used to do. And it was the kind of, it was just kind of how I used to have it at the old jobs. I didn't get paid as much. They weren't as prominent. They didn't have whatever, like, hope for future promotions and stuff. But that was just kind of what it was. It was a chill culture. We joke around. There weren't very many topics that were off limits. Nobody was getting anybody in trouble for what they said. And it was just like, I don't know. There was something more just innocent about it. And then I become involved in corporate America, and it's very backstabby. No one's going to be talking to you in the parking lot after work, being like, let's hang out afterwards. No one's going to be chilling like that. There's not going to be like a camaraderie, like we all do this together. We're all working on this together. We're a team. No, everyone's out for themselves. Everyone's trying to people are just not friendly in that environment. People become so serious about stuff. You have to be very careful what you say in the corporate America environment. There's a lot of political correctness. There's a lot of things you can say that are the wrong things. Beyond political correctness, there's like a status quo. And you want to be very careful about who you say, about what, and all this type of stuff. And it's just like, dang. I don't know. There's something very soul-sucking and very unhuman and very you could just see there's just this underlying expectation that you're going to be this corporate robot and that you're going to forego all your individuality and all your personality, and you're just going to become this machine for them. And that's kind of the vibe I see from a lot of people. They're just down to be these machines that turn off their brains and don't think for themselves. And they're very unfriendly. They're very hard to talk to. They're just like, I am corporate bot, number 1,345. They just kind of have this mentality to them. And look, at the old jobs, some people were sketchy. Some people were, some people had problems. I had an old job delivering food, and there was a guy there who picked up what he thought was a prostitute, but was actually an undercover police officer. And we're doing food deliveries. He's got a cooler full of, these meals to drop off at people's houses and stuff. He just does that on the way. Why not, while at work? He got fired, obviously, but you do have crazy stuff like that. If you're working at Walmart or whatever, you might have some crazy coworkers. I'm not saying you're not going to have crazy people around you working at some, just some lower level job. I mean, you could have more crazy people actually, and you still want to get out of that. You don't want to stay at the bottom. You want to move up. You want to move ahead. You want to, get yourself paid more. Definitely you want to move up out of that. But when you do, just realize that you're going into a different environment, and just realize that things kind of become less human as you move up. I kind of think about the peasants back in the day, back in the old medieval times. If you were just a peasant, you're all right, I work my field, whatever, give the crops to the lord of the field that needs it, whatever, the person who owns the field and the land, I give them some of those crops, keep some for myself, and I don't really worry about it. Then among the nobles and the kings and whatever, everyone's stabbing each other in the back, and someone's killing their older brother so they can take their position and become the new king, and everyone's just trying to get over on everybody. But down with the peasants, it's just People are more just kind of chilling, not really getting involved in all that. And I think it's kind of the same with like the corporatocracy, the administratum, whatever. It's kind of the same thing with that, where it's like now everyone's trying to get ahead. They're trying to further their career. Now you got all these people, they're trying to get a house and a nice car and a boat, and they're trying to get them for theirs. And, you know, they don't want you to get in the way of that. And people just don't have a mentality that like, we're all on a team, we're all friends, we're all trying to help each other. No, not really. Like, people are trying to grease each other's wheels, but like when you get to that level, people aren't trying to make friends, they're trying to make connections. People are social climbers. They're trying to make the right friends and meet the right people they can meet so that they can further their own career. They can further their own stuff. They can get more money. They can get more social status. You see what I mean? It's a lot of stuff where people are trying to get ahead and get theirs. There's still good people in the corporate world. You know, not everybody in the corporate world's like bad or whatever. I'm not saying that, but just the more underlying culture when you're at a lower level job is more just like, we're all here, we're trying to survive, we're trying to get through the day. Maybe there's some dude like getting drunk in the bathroom, doing stuff to try to survive and get through the day that's not good, but like, whatever. Everyone's just kind of there, just trying to get through the day, finish it off, whatever. Whereas when you're in the more corporate world, it's more like, I'm trying to further my career. I'm trying to get that promotion. I'm trying to get the experience here so I get a better job somewhere else. And I'm trying to get these good references. And I'm trying to get the boss to like me. And I'm trying to suck up to the right people. And it's more like that. It's more like that, you know? More kind of fake vibes. And those fake vibes, like, they disconnect people from their humanity. People just become faker. And you can feel it in these places. It's like there's this dull gray beigeness to it. And you can just see people the light is not in their eyes. They're very just like, you know. And I found at my job, like talking to the people who worked at the loading dock or whatever, I could relate to someone like that a lot more than some, you know, whatever, someone who's trying to climb the corporate hierarchy. They're trying to have the right opinions. They're trying to fit in. They're trying to do this. They're trying to do that. Like, I don't really have a lot in common with that person. And I think with a lot of these people, they're they're just empty shells. And they're trying to be filled with whatever they need to be filled with to get ahead. And yeah, I mean, I really see that with a lot of people. I mean, not everybody, but with a lot of people, I just see they're kind of these empty shells. And I just see a lot of people, they ain't happy. A lot of people think they're going to get this corporate job, they're going to get this money. Even the people making the good money, you see a lot of people, they're not happy. They've kind of just resigned themselves to just kind of be this drone. And that's what you see with a lot of people. They're very empty. They're very drone-like. They're very just like, they don't really seem to have much like thought of their own. And it's kind of sad. It is. And there's a lot of people that are also just like angry. They're annoyed very easily. They're not like, a lot of people are very fake. They act like they're your friend, but who really knows? And I don't know. But I guess my general point in this video is that I think people that are just kind of regular folk, not working the best job, whatever, I think they have more fun. I think they enjoy it a lot more. And I think there's more humanity to them. I think people start to get involved in the corporate world and they lose their humanity trying to climb that ladder. And one final thing I'm going to say, I don't make that much more money than the people who work at the grocery store. I've looked at what they pay there per hour, what I make. It's not that much more. It really isn't. And someone who does plumbing is going to make more money than me. Someone who does electrician, is going to make more money than me. A longshoreman is going to make a lot more money than me. Most people who work construction beyond like whatever framing or whatever, if you have some expertise in construction, you're going to make more money than me. So you don't even make that much money at these corporate jobs. And I'm just kind of thinking about it, like at some of the old jobs I had, I mean, what I was making per hour was not really that much less than what I make per hour now. I just get more hours, I get benefits, whatever. I mean, a lot of these old jobs I had, they didn't give me the right hours. Then it's like you're going to work one job 25 hours, then go to another job for 20 hours. I don't know. It's just like it's a whole pain. It'd be a lot easier just to work one place full time. But yeah, they wouldn't give me my hours. You got to pay extra for benefits, or they might not even give them to you, you know. So whatever. I get a better overall deal with what I'm doing now. I get a 401k, whatever, all that junk, you know. But I'm just thinking, like, it really is not, like, hour per hour. When I look at my hourly rate, it's really not that much more than what you'd make working at a grocery store, like, for real. And I'm kind of thinking about all this corporate stuff. Like, is it really worth it? You know, should we be having more small businesses? I really think we should have a lot more small businesses and much less like big, huge corporations. I don't know. And a lot of these big, huge corporations, they're very soulless. It's very gray and soulless. And it just, there's no sense of family or community or connection. You don't come into one of these jobs and it's like, oh, hey, what's up, everybody? I don't know. There's just, everyone's very isolated and very to themselves. And people are just very dull and very gray. And everyone seems to just kind of have this cloud of dread hanging over their heads. And you can get laid off and stuff and whatever. I mean, people have all this stuff about the loyalty, but then whatever, you can get laid off and whatever. I don't know. I think a lot of people are just too emotionally invested in it. I think they kind of make work and the corporatocracy, they kind of see that as kind of like a god over them or something. I don't know, but I saw those people, you know, outside the Whole Foods when it was closing up. And I saw that kind of camaraderie they had and how they're just kind of like having fun together. And I'm like, man, I used to have that. You know, some of these old jobs I had, you know, the guy there I could go, fun guy to go get a beer with, fun guy to hang out with. Yeah, I could talk real with him. You know, I could say some stuff. We could say some stuff to each other. Where I'm at now, absolutely not. And I think people kind of realize they got to be fake to fit in this stuff. And there's a general kind of, I guess, underlying culture that you should not be someone who expresses too much opinions. I don't know, you know, there's definitely an underlying culture that you should just kind of be someone who stays quiet, stays to yourself, doesn't say too much to anybody, doesn't speak out, doesn't speak up. I don't know, you know. And also just like you shouldn't just like be yourself. You shouldn't get to just be your own person and be who you are. You got to conform. So yeah, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you all so much for watching. Much love. God bless. I will see you all next time.